South China Sea tensions could result in Beijing launching military action against the U.S., an expert has warned. The US and China have been battling for supremacy in the disputed waters as Beijing ramps up its military ambitions in the South China Sea. Washington has for years stepped in to help neighboring Asian countries who have been threatened by China's military. This has included more patrols of US warships, which experts have warned could lead to accidental conflict. Professor Oriana Schuyler Mastro from Georgetown University told the Council of Foreign Relations how the situation in the South China Sea could unravel. There are some factors that show if China cannot achieve its goals, de facto control of the South China waters, it could escalate. The US could act more assertively, leading to aggression on the part of China. It's possible that China will come to the conclusion that the diplomatic way of dealing with the situation isn't working. China has controversially seized control of much of the South China Sea due to its 9-line claim, a demarcation for what the country believes to be its waters. The South China Sea is hotly contested because of its lucrative shipping lanes, capacity for strategic military advantages and wealth of natural resources such as oil and minerals. At the center of this disagreement are various island clusters such as the Spratly Islands and the Paracel Islands. China has had particularly tense relations with Vietnam and the Philippines over islands in the region. Island claims are important because, under UN Convention on the Law of the Sea negotiated in the 70s and 80s, there are no provisions granting ownership of waters without regard to land-based sovereign rights. South China Sea tensions have increased in recent months as China warns it is ready for war over the disputed region. Beijing stoked fears in the region after a source close to the Chinese military said in August that an aircraft carrier killer and one other missile were launched into the South China Sea as a warning to the U.S. One of the missiles, a DF-26B, was launched from the northwestern province of Qinghai, while the other, a DF-21D, lifted off from Zhejiang, a province in the east of the country. The move represents a drastic escalation in an already fragile standoff between two of the world's biggest nuclear powers. Both missiles targeted areas between Hainan Province and the Paracel Islands according to Beijing's forces, areas contested by smaller nations such as Vietnam and Taiwan. It's possible that China will come to the conclusion that the diplomatic way of dealing with the situation isn't working. Couple that with new power projection capabilities, military power for the first time. Lastly, could see China taking military action, such as seizing islands of kinetic action against U.S. vessels in the South China Sea waters. This warning echoes the sentiment made by expert Professor Terry Brown, that the communication between Chinese and American forces was worse than during the Cold War when the U.S. had tensions with the Soviet Union. In fact, China launched a series of ballistic missiles into the sea, with state-run media warning that China does not fear a war. It comes amid warnings that China's military is doubling down in its pursuit of dominance in the South China Sea. China has built up a significant military presence in the South China Sea as the country controversially tries to gain control in the region. Described by many as island fortresses, China has engulfed the South China Sea with man-made island bases and has been accused of forming them specifically for military purposes. The moving of its aircraft carriers, airstrips and weapons into the region has earned the cluster of bases the nickname the Great Wall of Sand. Photographs published by the Philippine Daily Inquirer showed cargo ships and supply vessels, which appear to be delivering construction materials to the China-controlled islands. Other images show runways, hangars, control towers, helipads and radomes, as well as a series of multi-story buildings that China has built on reefs. The firing of missiles comes amid fears of reduced limits on nuclear warheads. The U.S. officially withdrew from the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces, sparking fears that a new arms race could ensue. At the center of this disagreement are various island clusters such as the Spratly Islands and the Paracel Islands. China has had particularly tense relations with Vietnam and the Philippines over islands in the region. Island claims are important because, under UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, negotiated in the 70s and 80s,